Throughout history, countless pastors have bravely shared the gospel message in the face of adversity. These individuals, motivated by their faith and a desire to serve others, have endured threats, violence, and even death for their beliefs. Their stories serve as powerful testaments to the enduring power of the gospel and the unwavering courage of those who preach it. Dear pastors, this note is to honor your courage and sacrifice in preaching the gospel in the face of danger. Here are the inspiring stories of several leaders who, like yourselves, faced attacks while sharing their faith. Pastors who were attacked while preaching the gospel. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, date and time of attack. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was executed by the Nazis on April 9, 1945, for his involvement in the resistance movement against Hitler's regime in Germany. Background: Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a Lutheran pastor, theologian, and anti-Nazi dissident who actively opposed Hitler's policies, including the persecution of Jews and the suppression of religious freedom. He was involved in various resistance activities, including efforts to smuggle Jews out of Germany and conspiracies to overthrow Hitler. Significance: Bonhoeffer's writings on ethics, theology, and resistance continue to influence theologians and ethicists today. His steadfast resistance to totalitarianism and defense of human dignity, even at great personal cost, exemplify moral courage and integrity. Attacks faced. Bonhoeffer was arrested by the Gestapo in 1943 and imprisoned for his involvement in the resistance movement. Despite being offered opportunities to escape, he chose to remain in Germany and continue his opposition to the Nazi regime. He was ultimately executed just days before the end of World War II. Billy Graham, date and time of attack. Billy Graham faced various threats and acts of violence throughout his career as an evangelist, particularly during his crusades in the United States and abroad from the 1940s to the 2000s. Background: Billy Graham was an American evangelist who rose to prominence as one of the most influential religious leaders of the 20th century. He preached the message of salvation through faith in Jesus Christ to millions of people around the world through his crusades, radio, and television broadcasts. Significance: Graham's impact on global Christianity and his role as a spiritual advisor to numerous U.S. presidents earned him the nickname America's Pastor. His commitment to preaching the gospel with integrity and humility has left a lasting legacy in evangelical Christianity. Attacks faced. Throughout his ministry, Graham faced opposition from critics and protesters and even received death threats due to his conservative theological views and public influence. Despite these challenges, he remained steadfast in his mission to spread the message of God's love and salvation.
The only reason the 10 of us went to that crusade was to kill Billy Graham. I made up 10 zip guns, so we spaced ourselves so that we could see each other around where Billy Graham was preaching. We decided that we would leave it until the appeal time. Not before, but during the appeal. We would kill Billy Graham.
There are thousands of you here today that have burdens that need to be lifted.
My gun was under my jumper, and I'm standing there, and I looked around at this crowd, and I thought, what the dickens are all these people doing here? And I turned back around, and then suddenly a voice said to me, "What are you doing here, George?" And I quickly turned back around to have a look and see who was there, and nobody was there that I knew. And I got very uncomfortable about that, I can tell you. Very uncomfortable.
The Spirit of God is speaking, and He's here tonight, and you know He's here. And there's a little voice down inside of you that says you need Christ. That is God speaking.
Okay, I know this is you, God. You took my dad. You hurt me so much. Why should I love you? Why should I care about you? And God said to me, George, I didn't take your dad to hurt you. And indeed, he said, I would never hurt you, full stop. Well, by this time, I'm starting to melt a bit. Now, remember that I hadn't cried since 7.5.
I tell you, before you leave this great stadium, you can find an answer to the dilemmas and mysteries of life if you will come and surrender yourself without reservation to Jesus Christ.
I thought about it for a while, and then the appeal came. I suddenly began to weep. And I cried, and I cried, and I cried. My zip gun was under my jumper, and I put it on the ground, and I ran to the front.
There may be many factors that led you to this moment, but there is a climactic moment when you give your life to Christ. And you do it by faith. Faith in Christ.
The amazing thing was that 9 out of the 10 of us got converted that night. Then we were all a blubbering mess. We really were. And we talked about, how wrong we were and the things we'd done and all this. It was quite a night, let me tell you, quite a night.
Martin Luther King Jr., date and time of attack. Martin Luther King Jr. faced numerous threats and acts of violence throughout his leadership in the civil rights movement in the United States, spanning from the 1950s to his assassination on April 4, 1968. Background: Martin Luther King Jr. was a Baptist minister and prominent civil rights activist who became the most visible spokesperson and leader in the American civil rights movement. He advocated for nonviolent protest to achieve civil rights reforms, including desegregation and voting rights for African Americans. Significance: King's leadership and philosophy of nonviolent resistance were instrumental in achieving major civil rights victories, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. His famous "I Have a Dream" speech, delivered during the March on Washington in 1963, remains one of the most iconic speeches in American history. Attacks faced. Throughout his activism, King faced numerous threats, including bombings of his home, physical assaults, and arrests. His commitment to nonviolent resistance in the face of violence and intimidation remains a powerful example of courage and moral leadership. Desmond Tutu, date and time of attack. Desmond Tutu faced various forms of opposition and threats throughout his activism against apartheid in South Africa, which spanned several decades, particularly during the height of apartheid in the 1970s and 1980s. Background: Desmond Tutu is a South African Anglican archbishop and Nobel Peace Prize laureate who played a key role in the struggle against apartheid. He was a vocal critic of the apartheid regime and advocated for nonviolent resistance, reconciliation, and forgiveness. Significance: Tutu's leadership and moral authority helped mobilize international support for the anti-apartheid movement and contributed to the eventual dismantling of apartheid in South Africa. He chaired the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which investigated human rights abuses during the apartheid era. Attacks faced. Tutu faced harassment, threats, and intimidation from the apartheid government and its supporters due to his outspoken criticism of the regime. Despite the risks, he remained resolute in his commitment to justice and reconciliation. Maximilian Kolbe, date and time of attack. Maximilian Kolbe volunteered to take the place of another prisoner in Auschwitz on July 31st, 1941, after a fellow prisoner escaped, leading to his death. Background: Maximilian Kolbe was a Polish Franciscan friar who is best known for his sacrificial act of offering his life to save another prisoner in the Auschwitz concentration camp during World War II. He was a fervent devotee of the Virgin Mary and dedicated his life to spreading the message of God's love and mercy. Significance: Kolbe's selfless act of heroism in offering his life to save another prisoner exemplifies the highest ideals of Christian love and sacrifice. His courage and compassion continue to inspire people of all faiths around the world. Attack faced: Kolbe faced persecution and imprisonment by the Nazis for his religious activities and humanitarian efforts. His ultimate sacrifice in Auschwitz has made him a symbol of resistance to oppression and a saint in the Catholic Church. These individuals, through their remarkable courage, resilience, and commitment to their faith, have left indelible marks on history and continue to inspire generations with their stories of faith, compassion, and sacrifice. These are just a few examples of the countless pastors who have risked their lives to share the gospel. Their stories serve as powerful reminders that faith inspires courage and motivates action. They inspire us to stand up for what we believe in, even in the face of adversity, and to dedicate ourselves to serving others, just as they did. While these individuals have passed away, their legacies continue to inspire millions around the world, and their contributions to their respective causes and faith communities remain deeply influential. And remember, if you're inspired by the stories of resilience and faith shared on Hope Alive, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll stay updated on all our latest episodes and continue to be uplifted by the enduring power of hope. So hit that subscribe button now and join us on this remarkable journey of faith and courage. Together, let's keep the flame of hope alive. God bless you.